I've only been here, what, an hour? I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I am.
It's fun. We have fun around here.
Yeah, and I like that. That's kind of what I'm about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What do you think, Pops?
Yeah.
No, I'm just here to break things.
Yeah. Well, guys, I don't know where we're bringing this podcast in yet, but obviously I'm the guy you watch all the time, Redneck. I have my Pops over here to my right. We have
Corey
from Johnny K's. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar from them. And then we have our special guest, Eddie. Eddie, what?
Welcome to the R.N.G. podcast, home of the Mud Crickets. Hanging out here live in the shop in the loft so we can watch what goes on, like no work, like Steve always does.
Hey, now, easy on me, killer. I knew it.
So,
he's gonna rag on you all night.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So, John, tell us who you are. I mean, you got kids, you got a wife, you got family, you got a favorite dog. What you got?
I do have a dog. He's a Great Pyrenees.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty big dog.
Yeah.
He's up there in age.
He eats more
13.
than you.
Oh yeah. You give him food and he'll search the entire house for food, even though his dish is full.
Yeah.
That's just what he's about.
Yeah.
Right.
I work in Powersports. I'm one of the techs at our basically main shop.
You can
the
go.
mother shop.
You can tell them where.
Yeah. It's Johnny K's Powersports in Niles.
Now, isn't he one of the bigger dealers?
Yeah. In the
He
area,
is
we kind of have a big area we
I don't know
deal
what
with.
to do with my cord, Steve.
I know it.
That'd be fine. Oh, that's not good. I'll just hang on to it.
Yeah,
So how'd you end up working there? What'd you do? Is like ATVs like your thing? I mean, it's like Steve's thing. He eats, sleeps, and breathes them. I mean, that's it. There's nothing else.
If you ask my wife, she tells you I dream about it.
I believe that. I think
I
you
heard
like
her
him
saying
more
that
than her.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came from the automotive field.
Me too.
I
too.
I worked at Hyundai for a while.
I'm sorry.
Yes, many motors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw a post on Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Applied, got offered the job pretty much right on the spot. I mean, I was kind of taken back. I didn't think I was going to be offered the job that quickly.
Right.
And then I've been there for 3 years now.
So before we roll over to Pops, a little quick introduction, but you work for Johnny K's. Have you worked for any other power sports?
I have not.
Okay.
Just Johnny K's. We do quite a bit of all manufacturers.
Right.
We're a CFMOTO dealer.
Yep.
I see the good,
the bad.
I do see some stuff. I mean, I'll say 80% of the stuff we get that need work is not CFMOTO.
It's customer.
Yeah, it's customer.
Yep.
And anything that we've ever really had an issue with CFMOTO is customer induced.
Yeah.
It's just they're not familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about earlier, the clutches.
Yeah.
People don't realize how big of a role a clutch actually is in.
Right. And what I noticed is you have a lot of CFMOTO draws in a lot of new riders, and CFMOTO draws in a lot of people who haven't upgraded their ATV in 25 years.
Yes.
And the one thing we see is somebody comes from an ATV that's either a hand clutch or it's some sort of a wet clutch or semi-auto. You don't have a belt. And a CVT, it requires to be driven a certain manner.
Yes.
So you have to get used to it. And we find a lot of people, they want to go through a mud hole in high gear, and then they wonder why there's black smoke rolling out from the clutch cover.
Yeah, and I mean, just there's a guy we deal with. He has a Can-Am Commander, and he would drive around in his yard in high gear, going 20.
Yeah,
and then was wondering, brought it back, said, "Hey, there's black smoke pouring out of the back of my machine. What's going on?" What he actually didn't know is he actually had a upgraded drag racing clutch.
Oh,
because he bought it used.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an SMP clutch, and he just wasn't familiar with with all the stuff. And I will say, SMP clutches, they are what they are.
Yeah.
They're very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a special hand to
Right.
disassemble them, and special tools. And with CFMOTO, it's not like that.
Right.
It's
easy.
It's easy. Yeah. I don't want to say it's so much easy per se, but it's normal.
Right.
Normal.
And obviously, I eat, sleep, and breathe CFMOTO clutches here. It's what I do day in and day out. And the one thing that I see, we have a lot of competitors. I won't say a lot. There's a few competitors that are selling clutch kits. And they like to do stages. 1, 2, 3, 10, 9, 100, whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
And they're kind of pre-built. And customer says, I want a stage 3 mud, right? So they order a stage 3 mud, and that kit is kind of set up a base to give you X amount performance, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's where we differ, because if a customer tells me, hey, I mud, but, sometimes I go to West Virginia and drive 100 miles on a trail in a day, right? You have to set that clutch up for how you're driving it. If you don't, then you end up having some issues.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And I've seen it all. I've seen people use inferior belts.
Mm-hmm.
And once those belts go, it's not a pretty sight.
Yep.
It's not. The hat just gets absolutely demolished.
Yep. Exactly.
It melts the weights.
Yep.
And the weight holders, and it's crazy the amount of damage.
Yep.
A belt can actually do.
And a lot of times when folks call us, we can talk to them, we can educate them, we can get them set up, and when we do that, their clutch ends up living a longer life because we educated them on how to drive it. We set up their clutch specifically for them, not for their brother Tom or their Uncle Bob. We set it up for them and how they're driving, and that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, it's important to know how they're going to use it. If it's going to be utility, if it's going to be sport, if it's going to be mud, just open on the road. All that stuff factors.
Yeah.
With what type of clutch setup that they need.
Yep. Pops, do you have a clue about anything we just said?
No.
No, he's like me.
He
got nothing. Pops is the myth, the man, and the legend. He's building a custom Ranger with a what was it, a 302 in it?
Yeah.
A 302 in it?
Yeah.
I've never seen a motor put in that clean. There's no fingerprints on that thing anymore.
We're gonna get some footage of that.
Yeah.
To show.
We'll shove it in here.
You won't find a motor that's been in. Yeah. No.
There wasn't a greasy fingerprint one on that thing.
Dude, I think every time he turns the key, he's out there polishing it.
Is that what it was?
Right.
Yeah. You're
running. What are you running? You're running fuel injection.
Yeah, Holly EFI unit.
Yeah.
Was it easy to put in or was it not?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, you hear a bunch of horror stories about people putting these things on and the car don't run right and won't start and this and that.
Yeah.
A lot of that is
user error.
Yeah. Installation error.
Weren't we just talking about that?
Yeah, that's.
And then, a lot of people don't take the time to run everything neatly. They just want shit everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and then if you're like me, though, you're trying to cram it in there and make it go because you just want it to go. You worry about that other stuff later,
Right.
man.
And they get a lot of RFI interference, and then that's what causes all the problems.
Causes a lot of issues.
And RFI is radio frequency interference, just so you know.
Yeah.
Just looking at your EFI, the wires and stuff aren't really shielded either.
It depends on the ones inside the casing, but yeah.
Pretty much my whole harness that runs anywhere near that EFI, because that's where the module was in the front. And I shielded everything.
You did, but it didn't come that way.
No, it don't come that way.
Right.
You just got to be careful on how you run everything.
And
you just can't jumble it all together. You're going to have a problem.
Yep. Yeah.
That comes with experience and knowing.
So besides the Ranger, though, I mean, you raised Steve. I'm sure that was an excitement.
Oh man, I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
I can't believe he made it this long.
Was Steve the poster child for well behaved, or
he was a hellion, I'll tell you.
Yeah. So, you never know what I was into.
But you run your own shop. You run Hayes Automotive here in Canton, right?
Right.
It is in Canton, so it's
Yeah.
in Canton.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what, 6 bays?
5.
5 bays?
Yeah.
What is it that you don't do?
Nothing.
Body work.
Body work?
Yeah, well,
Oh.
yeah, there's that. I was about to say nothing, but there's nothing he doesn't do. But
Yeah.
You work
I
on
figured it
Hyundais?
was easier to ask
He-
him what he doesn't do than what he does.
he
because
does do body work, just not
Not
for
for-
everybody else, just for himself.
Just on the
I
Ranger.
rarely even do that.
Yeah, he'll have the. I remember one time he was going to do some body work on the Ranger. This is like 10 years ago. The body work never got done, and he bought the tools.
But it still looks good.
Yeah, I got all the tools.
He got all the tools.
They're
That never
still
did-
brand new.
They're still brand new.
Steve, should we go down there and look at all your camera equipment you bought you didn't use yet?
No.
It must be a
Dude,
genetic trait,
I
right?
have more camera equipment than
I know.
Best Buy does.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So you get onto him for spending money and not using it, but you do the
well,
same
you know,
thing.
I mean, you know, hey,
Running the family.
we can't be passing the buck here.
That's right. You taught him good.
Yeah. So he the old man here, he got bored one time and made me go race some stuff that he put together in the back shed. And
So that's where the problem
and
started.
it turned out that it was like winning races. So he just he didn't quit making anything. He just kept making it, and we still got that dirt bike.
Yeah,
It's
I
at
think
home.
one of the boys
50.
rode it.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
50. Took it from 15 mile an hour to like 60.
It was like 68.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
Oh, dude, it's nuts.
That would be scary.
I still got it. I'll have to show you one time.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
interesting.
Still
I,
runs.
I got a lot of time in that bike.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I
stuff.
bet you do.
And you know what? We're talking back in 1990 when they didn't make aftermarket parts for that bike.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was all just ingenuity
Custom.
and just
Yeah. Tell them a little bit. Don't tell them the secrets, but you can't air out all the secrets, but tell them kind of what you did.
Yeah.
is it still a 50?
It's still, yeah,
Well, yeah, kind of.
sort of, a little bit.
a little bit.
A little, he
Poured
cheated
and
a little.
polished the head.
Listen.
and new jets and
They didn't sell the part, so he made it.
Took it to put a 60cc big bore kit in it. What I did was I took the piston out of one of those Yamaha
Weisinger.
Weisinger 50s or 60s
yeah.
because that motor has the same stroke and everything, so the piston is identical except for it's a little bigger. Sent it out, had it bored out, got the jug back. I had all my porting equipment.
Yeah,
know,
you still
you know.
got that.
I mean, I ported the shit out of that jug.
Dude,
I opened it up so much you just couldn't open it up anymore.
This was
I have
before
that.
post race inspections. I
have that jug because when I got it out of storage, when I raced that blew it up, you know, but I got it and I just put a stock or no, I bought one of the cheap Chinese 60cc kits and put that in there, but I saved the head because he done shaved the head so far down.
Well, with that big bore kit, I had to reshape the head on a lathe.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I still got the jug. The jug is pretty screwed up, but I kept it all because the ports went from this big to like this big.
all before post race.
And I don't know,
huh?
did you do any like port timing changes?
well, yeah,
You moved it or whatever?
yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to tell how. There's
No, but
not that it matters. Nobody's competing on the 50cc with us.
no.
You can't give all the good secrets.
No, let him learn. He learned.
right.
He did it. He did it by trial and error and making me run that thing in circles around the yard until it ran out of gas.
Yeah.
Got to
It
break it, in
was
somehow.
probably
A lot of
the
people-
only
A lot of
time.
people at the track. Man, what did you do to that thing?
Yeah.
Well, give me some money and I'll show you.
Nothing. It's stock.
No, so I took it to 60cc. I milled my own aluminum intake out of a block
Oh, yeah.
on a
The
mill.
intake's bigger than the head.
Yeah, made that. Went from a 12 millimeter carb to an 18 millimeter carb.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had to rejet it.
It still zips. Like it's.
Oh well, you were riding it that one day the last time I was here.
Well, you changed the gearing on it too.
Oh, it depends on what track you ran, though.
Yeah, but you had multiple gear sets,
Yeah.
and he would change them out. Like if I was flat track or.
Yeah, had both pipes. Had
Yeah.
the top end pipe.
Yeah, he
for
had
flat
two
track,
pipes too.
And then had the torque pipe
Yep.
for for motocross.
It's got the.
but even racing that had to be expensive.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
dude,
back then.
I blew it up every race.
Yeah.
Damn
I mean,
near.
it just had to
Yeah.
be expensive. It had to be. That's quite a commitment.
I had that thing so hot one time. I remember, I come off the track and I go to the truck, and I pull my tether and it wouldn't shut off. You had to pull the air filter and choke the carb because it was so hot.
Stayed running.
It stayed running, and then if you started it up while it was hot, it would run backwards. Remember? You started it up for me, and I went to give it gas to go, and it went, yeah,
But,
in reverse.
but yeah. I matched the cases. I mean, I did a little clutch work.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took off the factory ignition system, and then I took the ignition system off of a YZ50.
Mm-hmm.
Because the YZ50s had the real small flywheel in the middle instead of the big heavy one.
Mm-hmm. So it would
Yeah.
rev out.
Yeah. So, were you always a motorhead? Where did you learn that? I mean, was that just something that was just in you? You wanted to learn everything you could? I mean, a lot of these young people say that, oh, you can't, but obviously you can. You weren't born with that knowledge. I mean, where did it come from?
Well, I guess, shit, it probably all started back when I was 7, 8 years old. I had to go with my dad to a buddy of his. And of course, they're bullshitting, and I'm just standing there, and I happened to look over, and there was this 50cc motorcycle just laying in this scrap pile. So I asked the dude if I could have it. He goes, yeah, you can have it. And it was 50cc. It was an Italian bike. And it was called a Bronco. Motor was seized up. I mean, it was just, but I was just determined to get it running. I stripped this thing down in every freaking piece imaginable, cleaned everything. I mean, I repainted everything, and there was a guy. His name was Bob, from Bob's Wheels. It was just like a small bike shop, probably like 4 miles up the road.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to get me parts for that thing. So I got that thing done and gone and riding. I rode that shit out of that thing. You know? And that's kind of how it all started for me. And then just, doing something like that all on your own. You don't know anything about it,
It's fun.
And, back then there wasn't no manuals.
No,
It's fairly obvious that Steve grew up with you making stuff or making it work or figuring it out because he doesn't stop. I mean, he'll figure it out. I mean, just like the trike he's got downstairs and stuff like that, where he's got a lot of custom parts. So that must have been something that was that just trial and error over the years that you finally figured it out? And
yeah, once I kind of got into that, then that's just what I wanted to do. You know what I mean?
right, yeah. 'Cause
Well,
that's the cool part.
I mean, hell, even when I was like 10 years old, people would bring me their dirt bikes and their street bikes. And next thing you know, I got people from all over the place. Hey, that 10-year-old will fix it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they bring it over and I fixed their bike. And shit, if I made $20, it was like making
$20 was a lot of money
$150
then.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no Amazon back then. Like you
No,
couldn't
we didn't have Amazon. People don't realize how easy
you
it
couldn't
is.
hop on there and find some Chinese knockoff piston and jugs. You wanted it to go fast. You had to make it go fast without.
Mm-hmm. But you had to get it right.
Yeah. Nowadays there's a lot of bolt-on parts. People can't think for themselves.
That's the way most mechanics work nowadays.
Yeah, bolt-on parts.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
A lot of people just throw stuff.
We
at the
call
wall.
them parts changers.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not even mechanics. They're not even technicians. Parts changers.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So you work at the dealership, and what's
Yeah.
fascinating me and that I don't understand because I'm not in the mud cricket race. Okay, I'm not a mud cricket like Steve, but you buy these things, you spend an astronomical amount of money. As far as I'm concerned, it's a lot of money to buy one of these
oh, yeah,
machines.
Tons of money.
Even a basic machine is expensive,
tons of money.
and then these guys spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars bolting shit on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do a lot of accessories. I mean,
I mean, clutches
Ton of 'em.
and and light bars and plugs and
Right.
running boards and I mean, is it like an illness? Is it like crack?
It's crack. It's
yeah,
crack cocaine.
yeah, it is.
It isn't all recreational.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all recreational.
Yeah.
All-
Definitely
It's the
recreational.
all
recreational
recreational
drug.
crack.
Yeah.
I will say this though, if you're doing other recreational activities, it disappears. At least when you're in the side by side world, it's still in your garage.
Well, I know, but I mean, I have a friend that he's so enamored at home with side by side that he doesn't have the money to go run the thing because he's got leather seats and heat and
AC.
windows and a
Right.
big this, and he just ordered this from Amazon, but he can't trailer it 100 miles to go run it in the dunes because he doesn't have the money because he just keeps ordering parts. So
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I just don't understand because to me, I think if you buy it, it ought to go and that should
Right.
be all right.
I do got one question for my pops over here. You know, back in the day, you had the bike shop in the backyard.
Yeah.
Do you ever regret not sticking with that?
Yeah. I mean, once in a while.
Once in a while?
Yeah, because you just want to get back into it a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's fun.
You don't want to get back in hot and heavy, but
Right.
But motorcycles kind of come and go. You know what I mean? Motorcycles will be hot for 10 years and then they're cold for 10 years. And
Yeah,
then
but
you know, because
when
in
you-
the 70s, motorcycles were just like everything.
well, when I was a kid, he built a decent sized building, and would have that thing
I don't know,
plumb
like a
full.
12 by 20 or something.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't big, but it wasn't. It's comfortable. You could work on 2 or 3 things at once, and not a whole lot of room for toys. But I remember he had tires stuffed underneath the bench, and stuff, and parts and stuff hanging up out there, and then your office was in the mobile home
Yeah.
because they didn't have room for it in the garage for the office. So
That's the way to do it.
yeah, I mean, but he was out there, you know.
I spent many late nights out there.
Yeah, out there making money, cussing, I'm sure.
So is that how y'all spent time together? Was racing and working on stuff?
Racing, yeah.
Was that what you did?
Racing was a lot of it because
Yeah.
he went practice every Wednesday and then every race, the weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Every weekend, Friday and Saturday night,
Right.
and you had to travel
I mean, I
wherever.
just, when he first got that little 50, he was 4. I don't know if it was him or his brother. He couldn't even ride a bicycle yet because he didn't have the balance. I think it was you,
Yeah,
but he could ride that motorcycle.
I could ride that dirt bike. Yeah.
And he was just one for speed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I left him run it stock for, it wasn't very long. And then I would just do one little thing to it, just to give it a little bit more. And then I didn't get used to that. And then I just graduated him up, you know what I mean? Until it got to the full-blown big bore kits and,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it was so fast I had to put a goddamn steering stabilizer on it.
Yeah. I remember that.
And
And
get that head shake going,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And then I started taking him up to Bear Creek, flat tracking,
Which that's 10 minutes up the street.
and he would do good with that. And I mean, there was like other little kids out there too, you know what I mean? So, and he did good with that, and then shit. By the time he was 5, he's taking state championship. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and I'm talking like he'd win by like a whole lap. You know what I mean? And but there was another kid. He was from New York. He would come in once in a while, not all the time. His name was Charlie.
Charlie. Yep.
Yeah, and
He was hard. He was
his
hard to beat.
bike was just a smidgy faster than his, but only because he had bigger tires.
He had
you
bigger
know what I mean?
tires. Yep.
Right.
But when he would come in, he would win. You know what I mean? But I mean,
Barely.
Steven would be like right there.
Right.
One
Yeah.
little slip up and
And I got you.
Yeah. He had that's right, because his dad custom built that frame and put them fat, big, tall.
they custom built that PW50 frame, put larger wheels. They put like suspension off of a YZ50 on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually bought that bike from him and had it for a little while.
I've
you
been
know?
trying to buy that bike back. I know who's got it.
And but
Were there really any rolls back then? Like the sizes? No, not
Nah,
like there
not-
are. Not
not-
like
not-
today.
Not hardcore.
No, especially for the kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was like,
Yeah.
nothing.
But I was racing the 125s too,
Yeah, he had raced against 125s
and they hated it.
in the 80s and
Yeah,
yeah.
At 5
Number
years
10.
old.
yeah.
That's
On a little 50.
Every
Big-
time,
That's
every
impressive.
time he would go out on the track, everybody would go nuts because he would just win heat race after heat race, and then he'd win the feature for the weekend. You know what I mean? The night, and then
Oh,
next
you were the
weekend-
most hated on the track.
Dude,
Yeah.
this kid had so many plaques and trophies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I still got quite a few of them at the house.
Yeah, and but yeah, and he took state when he was 6,
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
8.
Yeah,
You know, and man, a lot of time and money in that little bike.
mm-hmm.
Tell you what, when you got to rebuild it in between heat races
At the
and
track.
shit with some welder's gloves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything.
Oh yeah, I'd blow it up every time.
Air cooled, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to change rings all the time, pistons.
Mm.
Because we were running it so hard and so hot. I don't even know how it stayed running halfway through the race, but it
That-
did.
Yeah, that thing was. I told you I opened it up. You wasn't going to open it up anymore.
Yeah.
know.
Hit it come through the wall.
That little bike had 210 pounds of compression.
Yeah.
It break your ankle when you try to start it.
It's like, man.
Yeah, when I redid that bike, I redid it so Jarrett could ride it. And you know that bike, it has to be ridden fast.
Mm-hmm.
Can't ride it slow.
No.
And Jarek, he just, like, he's got that in him, but he's fast for a second, slow. Fast for a second. No, that bike has to be zinging. It needs that airflow. And so that's why I kind of sort of dialed it back a little bit, but I saved all the parts. That way it's all there. And that way we didn't have that overheating problem anymore.
Yeah, but I think Derek get a hair of that board. It's like,
You should see him riding that KO.
yeah, it's like he
Really?
has no
Yeah,
fear.
he jumps that thing. You
Yeah,
know what?
yeah.
The
Yeah, oh, yeah.
S200, yeah.
Yeah.
He ramps it. Yeah. Full tilt.
All out.
Yeah, he don't care. I told him one time, I said, don't hit that jump. That's not a jump. Like, it was just a little hoop in the
Yeah.
ground or whatever. And he's like, I'm gonna hit that. I said, no, don't. You're in side by side. It's gonna dive. And I turned around and talked to his mom, and she goes, oh, he's gonna hit that. And I turned around and looked. He went up, and it nose came down and dug into the thing, into the grass.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, no, I told you not to, because you're gonna roll it, you're gonna break something, you're gonna hurt something, you know. And the thing I don't like about that KO, it says right on the roll cage, it won't save your life.
Yep.
What's the point of a roll cage if it's not gonna protect you? So, like, it does look pretty stout. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe that's just a
Maybe it's just a
Protect things.
disclaimer.
Yeah, it's probably a disclaimer.
Yeah.
They probably all say that somewhere.
yeah, because I'm thinking of custom cage now because I read that sticker.
So as a mechanic, though, is pay competitive like a dealership level?
It is. Our pay's a little bit different and structured that way. And yeah, I make a good living. My wife works for the sheriff's office, and
Steve.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
get rid of this
Steve.
guy.
Hey.
We break all kinds of
Steve.
laws.
it's a different county.
Oh,
Different
okay,
county.
we're good.
Okay.
I mean, he's talking about Eddie's talking about coming here tomorrow and blowing burnouts, and this dude's wife's a cop.
Oh well, she
She'll
works
be-
in the office.
She'll be posted down there tomorrow, waiting on Eddie to show up.
That would be great.
Well,
I can't wait
she
for
works
that.
in the office. She's deputized,
I
but
think we're safe, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're safe.
We're safe then.
Yeah, I got it.
So did you own an I guess UTV, I guess what they call it, before you went to work for 'em?
I did not. I was in the sand rails, rail buggies.
Mhm.
I've had
Paddle
a few,
tires,
yeah, I had a.
Volkswagen engines.
This one had a Fiero motor.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I could never get that thing to run right though.
That
But
was
those
every
little Iron
Fiero
Duke-
ever built.
Yeah, Iron Duke 4-cylinder. I mean, it was crazy.
GM.
Uh,
That's why. GM. That's why.
Yeah.
Hey, easy.
He's Ford powered.
Easy there.
Ford.
But you know the problem. You know the problem with that is, the rest of us ain't got that Ford money.
Yeah.
Like we ain't, like I don't know where he's stacking dimes, but I can't afford Ford power.
Yeah.
I'm broke.
Couldn't
Volkswagen.
handle the Ford power.
Like, I could handle it. I just couldn't afford it.
I don't know about
Like-
that.
Huh?
I don't know about that.
I got a side by side addiction.
Yeah.
I can't afford that Ford.
Yeah, there's
You got-
11 pieces of outdoor equipment here right now.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah, I think there's 11
There's
pieces.
it probably looks like Johnny K's in here.
A little bit.
Close.
He
little-
didn't,
a
he didn't
little
even
bit.
go downstairs though. So
No,
there's
not
more
yet,
downstairs.
but
We're
not
gonna
yet.
take him down to
Yeah.
the basement
Yeah.
when this is over. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna show him the dungeon where we
That's where Steve
churn
keeps
out all the
all
fun.
Keeps all
when
the
people go
broken
down to the
toys.
basement, they don't come back out, right?
I was going to say that.
I didn't tell
Yeah.
him that yet.
Am I going to survive this?
Now he's not.
We
gonna go.
already told little man today that the monsters were down there. That's where,
Yeah,
that's
we
where
did.
Steve keeps the monsters.
Yeah, that's where the monsters is at.
I'll pay your mom to put one under your bed.
I sent Eddie down there. He cut one of the secondary springs so it would sit flat because of the hook.
It wouldn't stay on the shelf.
He goes, "Where's your tools at?" I said, "They're downstairs." He's like, "Well, where are they at?" I said, "Listen, if you can't find the right tool down there,
Oh, wait a minute. He said, "There's a bandsaw. You'll see it."
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
no
I
way,
know
though.
what a bandsaw looks like.
yeah."
So I go down there to the bandsaw, and I'm like, cool. I flip it on, I take this spring, and I go to put it in the bandsaw, and it goes, ain't no teeth on that blade.
Oh no,
That was
that's
a
So-
brand new blade.
so-
that's a brand new blade. Me and him just
No,
put it on.
it-
You didn't
would-
use it backwards, did you?
It's because
He might have.
It's because the
It's hardened
material.
steel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
well,
the
it ain't got no
material.
teeth now. I
We
done
got-
rubbed them off. I had to find the only
It's-
grinder wheel Steve had that was about that big.
Hey, you know how to test to see who springs the best? Put it in that bandsaw and see which one cuts.
All right. Bet we'll do it tomorrow.
I don't know. Our competitors might not like the outcome.
I don't care.
I mean,
Ain't no skin on my teeth.
You're down. You're
yeah,
down. You want to see
I'll
it?
watch it.
I
Yeah.
like breaking stuff, so it doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. I'm just.
I don't know when you fix that clutch today. I mean, it doesn't matter to anything. But
The
when you
clutch
fix
I've-
that, the one that you built earlier today.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about all the
Yeah.
people, but when you built that clutch and you took the clutch apart, there was like that much thread left.
Yeah.
When you put the new clutch on there,
Yeah.
you were like fat boying down on it to put the nut on. So is that like normal? Does the
It's-
spring get weaker
So-
over time, or was that
so
like a
that's-
stock spring? Or
That's an uncommon occurrence. CFMOTO, there for a couple machines, they went to a shorter spring. And it's really soft. Remember when I said, man, this is really soft, this don't
Yeah.
feel right? Well, it was one of those ones where they like cut the spring in half to save costs. I don't know what they did. But that's one of those deals. Normally the stock spring is longer. They went to a shorter one. And yeah, like I twisted, you watched me, I
Yeah,
twisted
you
that
twisted it
nut.
right off.
You can't do that with a regular spring. Even the stock one, you got to have that wrench, and that's kind of the deal there. What you seen was a kind of something that really hardly happens, but we see different things with CFMOTO. They'll put out different things. I don't know if they run out of inventory and like call the other China guy and be like, "Hey, bro, you got one of these over there?"
like AMC.
Like I could get these
We
machines
got a
out the
Ford
door.
part, we got a Chevy part,
Yeah.
we got a Chrysler part.
Yeah.
It's an AMC.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but like even some of the clutch bearings. Have you seen the new CV Tech clutch bearing yet?
Not yet.
The fat one, right? Because it's only on like 1 out of every 1,000.
Yeah.
It's like, see if more like, hey, dude, ran out of these, these bearings. I think we can machine this one down and make it work. Like
Hey, nobody will know.
once in a
Who's
while,
gonna know?
right? Once in a while, I get a customer that'll order my rebuild bearing kits.
Yeah.
I go, this, you sent me the wrong part. No, I didn't. And then they'll send me a picture. I'm like, oh, you got that.
Got one of those.
You can't even, there's like not even a part number for that bearing. You can't even get it. So I end up selling them a whole clutch
because of
because of that. Yeah.
little
Yeah.
difference.
And the thing is, I got one down there on my bench. I was nice. I just traded a guy straight up for it. And the only reason I did that was so I could try to source those bearings. And I can't, like, find them. I can have them made, but why? I'll sell one every 10 years. So I have it down on my bench so I can show you.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Now.
And that bearing has a seal on each side. You know.
Yep.
Them bearings, if they have any force on them, the secondary will spin. That's the biggest problem with that because it has that seal that rides that shaft. And the shaft, that seal, creates friction. And then when you're in neutral or trying to shift gears, you got the secondary spinning. That was the guy's whole problem. There ain't nothing wrong with that bearing. You know.
It's just binding.
Yeah. I just gave him a whole clutch for it. That way I could try to source a bearing. And
you say all the time, I just gave that guy that, and
I
gave
give
that
a
guy
lot of
this,
stuff
and
away.
I gave that stuff here. You ain't never gave me nothing.
I give a lot. I gave you a hat.
A hat?
I bought you beer yesterday.
No, you didn't. I bought that.
No, you didn't. It was on my
Oh, you
bill.
bought beer at dinner.
Oh, okay. See?
Yeah, but
See,
that wasn't
there
a
you
lot
I
of beer.
bought him
That don't
like-
even count.
I don't even know how much
You
beer.
got
he drank.
dinner?
Huh?
Yeah,
You got dinner?
I bought him dinner.
I got dinner, but yeah, Steve bought dinner.
Wait a
I
minute.
bought Steve at.
Wait a minute. I
So
don't even want
goes-
to. I don't even want to hear you right now.
I took Steve to Waffle House this morning.
I got him a gas tank for his truck and at least
I can't eat that.
$1,000. Huh?
Truck eats that.
The truck definitely eats that. What's inside of it anyway?
I was gonna say the roads in Ohio eats the gas tank.
Dude, he just idles that thing in a shop and it sucks up 5 gallon.
Boy, it's sick too.
Every time
It
I
is sick.
listen,
What year is it?
94?
I was going to
I
ask
see-
you since I had a thought. Okay, so you put that Holly.
Fuel injection.
Yeah, thank you. And you have dual exhaust coming off of it, and I assume they're going to go out each side,
Right.
but you only have one sensor.
Yeah, that's all
So
that system
is
requires.
that even though it's
system only
one? I mean,
requires one.
is it designed to come in a Y and then out the one pipe and then put it there,
So-
or does it
No.
modulate just
No,
off of
they
that
just-
one
they
bank?
just want you to put it in
that's
on
all.
one side.
Yeah, that's all it needs.
Okay.
Like
And
a
it-
reference.
That also reads the temperature of the coolant too, right? So it adjusts with that too.
Yeah. I hooked
Yeah.
in coolant temp sensor and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
Right, but I was more curious about the downstream O2 sensor.
Yeah,
I just
I
didn't know
I
if
was
it.
kind of surprised that they didn't make it so it takes two,
Two.
one for each side. you
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
But
I mean, but I guess if it's basic and binary, it just needs to learn. I
Well-
guess it can assume what it's doing on one
Well,
side,
that-
it's doing on the other.
one thing the company really don't tell you is, I mean, they tell you, it'll learn itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it'll learn itself,
auto too.
but it's like a generic learn. You still
Yeah.
have to have those tuned.
tuned, right?
Right, you still have to put
Right.
the input in, but it will learn very
It gives
basic.
you all your
Well, you
basics.
can-
so-
Right.
It'll be like a baseline,
Yeah.
essentially.
You can bolt it in and daily drive it, but you're not going to want to race it.
Yeah.
So it's safe.
With anything, I mean,
Right.
I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about it: tuning
Yeah.
clutches, ECUs, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything
Yep.
takes a special little
Well,
nudge.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think they kind of designed them things for the average Joe that can't just hook up EFI stuff.
Stop making fun of me, Steve.
I mean, they just, they come up with an idea, they solved an issue, because let's face it, not everybody can hook up a laptop. And
Well, a lot of people think they're motorheads too. So
there's a lot of people that own tools that should.
I mean, you watch YouTube now. I mean, seriously, and I mean this in all sincerity. You watch YouTube, you watch these guys build this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, that's not that difficult."
right.
And then so okay, you get the same crap that he bought because it's in the link below, and then you get in the garage and you may possess decent mechanical ability, but if you don't have time in on that stuff and understand it, then it's not going to work right
You know,
anyways.
if you use one of those Holly snipers, and if you're not, see, that system's capable of controlling timing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all fully adjustable. You know what I mean? And,
Right.
You know, I mean, you run your fuel pump off of it. You run your cooling fans off of it. I mean, you can do all this stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm like one of those old school standalone kind of guys.
Right.
You know, my MSD ignition is standalone. It's by itself. It's not controlled by something else. You know, because you start having one unit do this, do this, do this, do this. You know, all you're going to do is go into problem. Then when you got a problem, you don't know where to start because that controls everything. And All my, my cooling fans are standalone, my ignition system's standalone. So when I hooked up Sniper,
You just wanted it to puke fuel.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I hooked up 3 wires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing.
You know what I mean?
And you were in like flying.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I mean, that dumbs it down far enough where the average guy could do it. And then if you're, if you want to take it to extreme, you can take it.
Yeah. Well, I asked him, I said, why didn't you let that control the timing? And I already knew the answer. You don't want the computer to tell him what to do. Listen, I'm a firm believer, and you get more power out of a carburetor, and that Holly is basically that. You know what I mean?
You're forcing fuel in.
You're forcing it.
You know what I mean? Spraying it in instead of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm more about the efficiency and the ease. When you go fuel injection, there's no choke. You don't have to wait for the carburetor to warm up. You don't have to be patient. You don't have to adjust it when it gets hot or it gets cold. With the EFI, it modulates it itself,
that it does
and you
do.
can go.
That it does do, but at the same time, EFI, if it's not tuned 100%, and none of this stuff is. If you're driving your street bike down the road and you're cruising at a certain mile per hour at a certain RPM, it'll go, and then you give it a little more gas. It's because that spot in the tune ain't fine tuned in. You don't feel that in a carburetor.
Right. Well, my last truck, 37 mile an hour. If you drove 37 mile an hour, it would misbehave.
It would do that. Yeah. It's because of a little hiccup in the map.
Yeah. There's something going on in the programming.
Carburetor don't do that.
No.
I've never encountered a carburetor, and if you do, it's because there's something wrong with it.
Well, that's the only stuff I've ever owned.
Clogged jet or anything.
I think I've had one brand new Edelbrock carburetor in my life. And then Mallory, I always ran Mallory distributors just because when I was at Speed Shop, you could light a cigarette off the display.
Yeah.
You could spin it and light your cigarettes, and that was the coolest thing ever. So that was why I was a Mallory guy after that. So.
It's a pretty cool little.
Yeah, it was, boy, if you put your hand in there, oh my goodness, it'd make you pee your pants. Just knock the hell out of you. And that guy, I never forget that bike guy at BNC Auto Parts. He just looked at you like you were so stupid.
Right.
But we thought we were cool.
Just sitting there, you have to test it.
You bring your buddies in there. Hey, man, put your hand right here and watch this. It's all right.
Yeah.
Spin that thing and just light them up.
Have you seen those? It's a YouTube video, and I think it's hilarious. There's his friend kept cranking his vise down real tight.
Yeah.
So he took a Model T ignition coil and hooked it up to that.
Oh, man.
And so right when he grabbed it, I mean, his entire body tensed up. It was...
Them Model T coils will knock the snot out of you. I had a shop teacher in Botech that had one of them old felony Monte Carlos, that had the felony holes in the floorboard, and had the seat covers on the back, the old woven ones, And so old Garland, he was a good guy, and everybody always wanted to ride with me, and so he was like, what y'all do is get some copper wire and throw it in the bottom of that seat. And he said, I'll get you a coil. We'll zap them boys while in that back. And, of course, there's a two-door, lead sled. And, man, that was the funnest thing we ever did. We get girls in the back seat and flip that switch on and
Yeah, exactly.
All that brings back fond memories.
Yeah.
Because shit, back when I was like, I don't know, I think I was like 19 years old, 20 years old, 19, something like that. I worked for this automotive repair place. I won't say it, but it's like a chain kind of thing. Been around for 100 years, right?
I think I know what one you're talking about.
And and back in those days, there was points and condenser. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there was the manager dude who sat up front and just sold the shit, whatever. He went to lunch one day, and I had one of those condensers. I charged that condenser, and then I took that wire, and I just, real close. I took it up, and I laid it on his desk. He come back and was like, what the hell is this? And as soon as he grabbed it, it zapped him. He came out in that shop and he throwed that thing.
You couldn't do that now. You get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
And then, I
Yeah,
don't know,
I
it was
would.
the funniest thing. I got fired the next day. I don't.
Yeah.
Sounds
You don't know
familiar.
why.
I worked for a dealership early in life, and I was hired to work with these guys, and so they wanted me to work on this diesel, and I didn't know nothing about diesels. I mean, like diesel ignorant, and I didn't know anything about it. Didn't want to do it. And I was about 21, 22. And all I cared about was drinking and partying anyway. And working was just enough to get money to drink and party back then. And so I had a real bad attitude about this diesel. And they brought this Jimmy in, and they said, hey, it's front seal's leaking on this Jimmy, pull the transmission out. So I said, run it up on the lift, try to pull the transmission out, fight the exhaust, them old 80s style Jimmys. Had transmission jack underneath it. The horn went off. It was the end of the day. I locked my toolbox up, went out the door, went home. And I come in the next morning with this Jimmy hanging by the bumper on the lift. And in the middle of the night, the air compressor shut off and the old post lifted in the floor.
Yeah.
And it bled off.
Let off.
Hey, you had
And it
that
just
problem.
turned that transmission jack, just kinked it. And that Jimmy rolled back just far enough. When the compressor came on at 5 a.m., it just grabbed the bumper and picked it up. I just walked in the door and looked at him and said, oh, I think today is my last day. And it was.
You had that problem with those lifts in the shop down the street.
The floor,
Oh,
the
yeah,
end floor
yeah,
lift.
in-ground lift.
Yeah, dude, you'd be working on that thing and
Hey, that thing
Yep.
would drop
You
a
used to have to
foot.
put
Yeah,
you used to
yeah.
have to put an oil filter behind the handle so it would keep air on it all the time so it would stay up.
Yeah.
he put channel locks on it too.
Yeah.
Big
But
one.
we had oil filters. We'd pull that handle forward, squish it in between the wall and let
Yeah.
that so it would keep the lift
Yeah.
up so it wouldn't fall on you.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be working on them things, and that thing would drop a foot.
A
Yeah,
foot,
and then
yeah.
you'd be under there and you think, "Oh, I'm almost done." And then pretty soon you're squished down,
Yeah.
trying to
Don't
even
finish
realize
it.
it.
Yeah, I'm sure you've never dealt with anything like that.
I worked at a dealership that we had those.
Yeah.
And
Those are dangerous.
yes,
Hey,
they
you
are.
want to know the real bad one? This was like way back in the day where it was a double post in ground.
That's what I had.
But
That's
I
what
mean,
these were.
there
that I
was
worked
one up here.
Yeah, and the
And
other one
one
would be
back
down
here?
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you had two levers on the floor.
Yeah, and if one of them jumped, and the car
car
would
slid.
go right in between them.
Yep.
I worked for a place, independent shop,
Independent.
and he had one of those lifts
Mm-hmm.
in there. You know what I mean? And it's like you got two levers and just can't take them equally because that don't work. You know, you gotta like.
Yeah, watch it.
You pull one a little bit, and let
So-
it rest a minute,
So
hold your breath.
the boss man, he had it was a big old boat up on that thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he left that thing up overnight.
Oh no.
I came in the next morning, and the ass end of that car is all the way up. The front bumper laying on it.
Yep. I watched one of the guys that was a 15-year tech at the time there, and he dropped the cutlass when that lift jerked up on that one side. It just dropped that car right in between the two posts.
Ain't that
Yeah,
something?
you can ask him. You know, even he worked at my shop. I'm like real picky when people set racks.
Yeah, he's.
It makes even the other day when you was talking about lifting that Ranger, real careful because a lot of bad stuff will happen real fast if
Yeah.
you're not cautious.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you get yourself hurt, somebody else hurt, or you screw up somebody's equipment. And I think, you don't want to hurt nobody, but you screw up a customer's
No.
car because you just didn't take long enough.
Because you're a
It's just,
dumbass.
that's just the
Yeah.
worst feeling, you know.
That's what kind of scares me about new techs. I ain't talking about everybody in the world, but there's a lot of new techs out there like they don't have a brain.
A lot of people don't have a brain.
No, no. And it's like, how are you?
It's like the
How do
strong
you
man
make it through
from
life?
the Wizard of Oz.
I know. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, man,
there's a lot. Like, I deal with it a lot in this industry. You know, we see a lot of dealers, and I get horror stories. Like, just the other day, I had a guy. He took and got an oil change, first service done on his CFMOTO, and he gets it back, and he goes to unload it off of his trailer, and there's a puddle of oil under his side-by-side. And he looked up under there, and the drain plug was missing. Well, we both know that if there's a little puddle of oil under his side-by-side, it's what done drained off the sidewalls inside the motor.
Well, I tell you how this happened. See, we lifted it up, so we reached a drain plug. We drained the oil out. I don't know if they have filters, but if they did, you put the filter on. You go around there and put the clickety-click gun, put the oil in it, fire that pig up, and drive it out the shop. Because we never moved the pan, and it just runs straight out the hole.
Right.
We went on outside with it.
Yeah. And, you know, it really kind of scared me is the dealer wouldn't even help him. Like, they didn't even acknowledge that it could have been their tech.
Well, I don't think their percentages are what they used to be anyway.
No.
I think they're all running pretty lean.
Lucky for him, though, they just drove it long enough to put it on the trailer, and I was like, just get a drain plug, put some oil in it, and
grit your teeth and see what happens.
Don't go back there. Like, don't.
That's the thing is nobody has accountability anymore,
They don't.
and
They don't.
it's a shame.
It
I
is.
mean,
Well, I tell you what's caused that, though. You know, everybody talks bad about dealers, but then you have these guys that, you know, something will break, and then you take it in there to get it fixed, and then all of a sudden they take it home, and 15 minutes later they call and they go, hey, you broke so-and-so.
Yeah.
We didn't even touch it. We didn't
Yeah,
have anything. They knew it was broke, but now, or either they didn't pay attention before, this was the biggest issue, and now that I got it home, and they're like, oh, I got it fixed. I just spent $800, so, you know, I'm going to check it out real good. And then all of a sudden it's broke. And they never even knew that it was broke, and they want to ram it up somebody else. I'm sure you deal with that all the time. You put tires on it last week, now the brakes are bad.
Right. Yeah, you do. You have that.
You see,
Changed my wiper blades, and now my muffler's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
You get it.
Or I had a customer one time. They had a Chrysler 200, and they brought it in. I put a battery in it. And the battery has had 2 or 3 year warranty. Well, they took it home, and then a couple months later, they towed it back because it wouldn't start. I'm like, I test the battery. Battery's junk. Put another battery in it. Warranty, free. They come back a couple months later. Car wouldn't start. Tow it again. And the woman, she goes, what kind of batteries are you putting in here? I'm like, I'm putting in a good battery. So I started talking to her. Here, this car sits. They don't drive it. It just sits. And I said, you have to at least go out and start this thing at least once every 2 weeks.
At a minimum.
Yeah. At a minimum.
I mean, if I don't start my diesel every week, it really doesn't like it.
Once a week and go get you an ice cream or something.
Yeah.
Drive it down the road, just move the fluid.
Yeah. So I told her, I was like, now that I know that the car sits, because I hardly ever had problems with those batteries, but once in a while you get a bad dud of any brand. I don't care if you made $5 for it or $1 million. There's duds, But now that I knew, I'm like, I can't keep warranting these batteries for you. I could. It ain't costing me nothing, but it's not right to do.
Right, but it gets to the point anymore that it's just the consumer, they already think it is too high, and it is too high.
Right.
I mean, you don't like charging people what you have to charge them to do the jobs because
really
it didn't used to cost that much, and it shouldn't. But in order for you to keep the lights on and pay the insurance and pay the taxes and pay environmental fees and fix the broken stuff when it breaks or to take care of whatever and pay your employees and then match their taxes and do all that. By the time you do that, and if their wages didn't go crazy like everybody else's wages, then you got nobody working there. So, the prices went up all the way around. So it's a frustrating situation. It reminds me a lot of the 80s.
I'm gonna tell you, and compared to him, I'm a new business owner, right? He's been in business
since 08.
Yeah, so 17 years, right? That'd be 17.
Yeah.
I can't do math.
Well,
Steve.
Christopher
Stop
was
trying to
born in
embarrass me.
08, and he just turned 17. So 17 years you've been in business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I got married in 09. So.
yeah.
Sorry.
So he
Yeah.
he
Is that
knows
the first one or the second one?
First,
Oh,
high school
okay.
sweethearts.
he knows what I'm about to say. When you got employees, and I love my employees, they do a fantastic job.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. I'll be picking up my check on Friday.
Eddie's taking the credit for all the girls do.
I got to do something.
But they do a great job, and I like to pay them what I can pay them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, just to have what I get a paycheck. I don't.
You're not independently wealthy.
I might dip into the business account sometimes, but
Hey, don't say that out loud.
That can be edited out.
not really.
Supplies.
Yeah.
Supplies.
Supplies.
Shop supplies.
I
That's
lost.
what it is.
I lost him in a boating accident, though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That runs right up there with I lost
Yeah.
all my guns in a boating accident.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I get a paycheck. My wife gets a paycheck, and all the employees get a paycheck.
Right. And I can agree with all this.
The amount
except
of
for your paycheck.
The amount of taxes that I match, I could have 3 more employees almost.
Oh, for sure. The match. Yeah.
Yeah.
And two
Because
more
you're
side-by-side.
matching.
And I could buy my pops a side by side. He
Yeah.
wouldn't have to borrow mine.
You know, I like your dad,
Yeah.
but I'm still waiting for mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be your greatest
Eddie-
promoter ever there was. You know.
Well, you're waiting for the Z2.
I mean,
to
I
come
can't
out.
even get a broken.
Yeah, he's
one.
waiting until I get that Z10 and he comes and steals it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it gets to the point that we're paying all these guys, and it gets expensive. And,
It does.
And
Yeah.
in your particular case, so I don't see where you deserve a check because I've seen you all day sitting in that chair. I've seen your wife moving.
Listen to him.
I've seen the packing lady moving, and I've seen that other lady moving and doing stuff.
Listen
and
to
you just sat in the chair. You kept claiming you were doing whatever, answering questions.
I was.
I don't really believe
I was
that.
talking to people.
What
mean-
about the clutch you rebuilt a little bit ago?
I
Oh,
did.
What,
I did.
15 minutes with a
I
work?
did break a sweat
Yeah.
today.
I mean,
I did break a sweat on
What
that
did you
clutch.
have to go to the potty?
Well, I did before we come up here and
Is that
sat
where
down.
the sweat broke out?
I think so. Up the stairs.
Yeah, because of where we ate last night,
Well,
or maybe the Waffle House this
it
morning.
was the Waffle
it was
House.
definitely the Waffle House. Definitely the Waffle House.
You're terrible, Steve.
I know.
So.
Man.
This episode sponsored by R.N.G. Performance. If you want to buy the best motherfucking parts on the market, call rng.net.
No.
Okay, let's try again. If you want to build a Mud Cricket Panty Dropper 1000, call R.N.G. Performance today.
No. Eddie, what are you new?
Okay.
We won't sell any parts talking like that.
I know. Okay, Steve.
I think Eddie's just excited. I don't know. He's got this mud cricket thing going on. I don't.
I'm famous, Steve. Leave me alone. If you need the best parts for your side-by-side four-wheeler or dirt bike, shop rngperformance.net. That's rngperformance.net, home of your favorite clutch kit. If you need parts, they got parts. They got belts, clutches, light bars, air filter, oil change kits. If you don't buy your parts from R&G Performance, you ain't shit.
No. Do I have to show you how it's done?
Yeah, Steve, you think you do better? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Steve. Brain went fast.
Yeah, gone. If you want America's #1 CFMOTO clutch kit for your ATV, UTV, side-by-side, U-Force, Z-Force, C-Force, don't matter what you got. It don't matter the force. www.rngperformance.net. We've got the best clutch kits. Not only that, but we also have OEM parts. We got our own aftermarket belts, best belt in the world. Definitely get that. We also have ECU tunes.